And we know the impacts of the rains is still being felt in many parts of the country up until this moment. Francis Nateo Kanse is a water resource engineer and a geospatial data science enthusiast. Thank you for joining us. Let me begin from here. We know yesterday the president at an event directed MMDCs to, as a matter of urgency, begin demolishing buildings that have been sited in waterways and in other unauthorized places. But we know the assemblies are already mandated to do these things. In fact, they are supposed to ensure buildings that are sited are duly and legally permitted to do so. Would you say that this latest directive by the president is, as some have described it, much ado about nothing? Hello, Mr. Okanse. Mr. Okanse cannot hear us. We'll try one more time to get Mr. Okanse to join us on the line so we engage him on this matter. But we know the president yesterday directed MMDCs to remove structures on waterways as a means of immediately dealing with impacts of floods, which we know leads to destruction of property and also loss of lives in some instances. He's back on the line. Hopefully, we have a better connection. Thank you, Mr. Okanse, for joining us. So I was asking, will this directive by the president to MMDCs to begin demolishing structures in waterways be a duplication, if you like? Because they're already mandated to do so anyway.
Well, there are obvious cases whereby some of the structures are sitting on waterways. Those ones, if the assemblies have not issued permits for the structures to be there, they can use the mandate given to them by the Local Assemblies Act to demolish the structures. But otherwise, it will be difficult because they might run into litigation challenges.
Now, we also know that this flooding situation didn't start today. Several years ago, this problem has been persisting. Now, it gets worse because people say people are coming to Accra, which is very highly populated, and then other human activities are leading to this. How do we mitigate the impacts from your experience?
Well, the best way to go about it is to ensure efficiency in the land use planning regime so that we can have more green areas and less concrete, hard-standing areas. Because in that wise, we allow vegetation to be able to intercept some of the water and allow the soil to also percolate some of the water. These are the conditions under which we can minimize the impact of runoff as a result of rainfall. Otherwise, the indiscriminate position whereby we are building anywhere and in a haphazard manner, the runoff and the flooding is going to get worse, and it's getting worse each and every year. So the assemblies have to be firm and strong and decisive in ensuring that buildings are not just put anywhere, anyhow.
And I know you've been doing a lot of work in this area, particularly including the article you've published, which has to do with managing Africa's urban flooding challenges from the bottom up, a view from Ghana, in which you state that some of the problems of flooding in Accra are driven by two factors: intense rainfall, short rainfall underpinned by climate change considerations, as well as the urbanization. Now, I'm curious to know which factors will be environmentally friendly as we continue our campaign, as we have the climate change ravaging, many other portions of the country.
So what we can do is to say that in our planning regime, every new development, the runoff that will come from your site for a certain amount of rainfall should not exceed the runoff that will come from your site after you have built your structure. Okay. So in that way, we are going to control runoff right from your house before it gathers up downstream to make the situation bigger. Okay. Secondly, we can look at rain harvesting, because in the moment whereby we harvest rainfall in tanks, we are little by little, containing the water and the speed at which the water will come from upstream. Okay. So there are little things that we can do right at the site level, which is our homes, to ensure we minimize the impact of the runoff.